Men don't pay for marriage advice and other BS. Last week, a self-made millionaire dad in business, late 30s, he said something very interesting. He said, men don't pay for marriage or relationship advice. They only pay for divorces. And honestly, for a lot of guys in their 30s, that's true, but that's not the whole story, because there is another kind of man in his mid to late 40s, early 50s, kids in middle school, business humming along, maybe even successful by every metric, yet he comes home to silence, and not the peaceful kind, the we're living under the same roof but oceans apart kind. And that man, he will pay. Actually, he sees it as an investment. Not because he's broken, but because he refuses to lose his family. Not on my watch, he says. Not if I have anything to say about it. So many men have been sold a lie that strong marriages just happen if you're a good financial provider. But providing money without presence, that's how you build an emotionally empty home. It's actually an older name for it. Horse trading, the oldest profession. If you're just giving your woman money and expecting her to be happy and be satisfied, and you give her vacations, you give her date nights, but otherwise it's work and priorities with business. I actually wrote a book about this. It's called The Silent Throne, about a man named Jason. And he's actually a composite creation from 4 real clients, 4 brilliant, driven, loving, financially solid husbands who all woke up one day to realize my wife doesn't look at me like she used to. The kids don't run to the door when I'm home. I'm leading everyone at work, but I'm losing the people that matter most. Does that sound familiar? Right, in the story, Jason didn't cheat. He didn't yell. He just disappeared into work, into exhaustion, into the belief that as long as we're not fighting, we're fine. But here's what no one told him. A silent throne isn't silent because the king is absent. It's silent because there's no one left to speak. And that silence, it's louder than any argument if you've ever lived it. Guys in their 30s think marriage is a problem to avoid, but men in their 50s realize it is a legacy to protect. Because by then, they've seen their friends lose their kids, not always to custody battles, but to emotional distance. They've seen wives check out, not to affairs, although that does happen too, but with polite indifference. And you start to ask yourself, if I keep leading like this, what's left at the end? And that's the moment that a man becomes willing to invest, not because he's desperate, but because he's ready to lead his marriage like a mission, not a maintenance task or as an afterthought. So you don't need communication tips. You need to have clarity in your role as a husband, as a father, as a protector, as a provider. You don't need to be more vulnerable. You need to show up with calm certainty, the kind that makes your wife exhale and relax and lean in, makes your kids want to share their days with you. Because your family isn't waiting for a hero. They're waiting for their king to return to the throne, and not with noise, but with presence. You know what it's like when somebody is fully dialed into you and there's nothing else in the world but this moment, and they are fully present. That is the biggest gift anyone can give another. That's our biggest strength as men, is presence. If you're feeling that pull, if you recognize Jason in your own story, but you're not really ready for the deep work yet, that's okay. Start small, start smart. I created the 24-hour marriage reset for exactly this moment. It's a single no BS framework that helps you cut through the static of resentment and distance, to reconnect without groveling or over-explaining, justifying, rationalizing, and create a daily cycle that rebuilds warmth and safety and playful leadership. Normally it's $97, but for this holiday season, it's just $27 with a 90-day money-back guarantee. And it takes less time than a typical morning strategy call. Go to 24hourmarriagereset.com tonight. The link is in the comment or the descriptions down below, but do it before bed. And then watch what happens when you lead with clarity instead of guilt. Because your kids are hoping you come back, not with more money or more trips, but just your full self. And your wife, if she can get mad and tells you about it, she hasn't given up, not yet. But she is waiting and testing to see if you will step back into your throne. So if the silent throne sounds like your story, you're not alone. And it's not too late. The throne isn't empty, it's just waiting. Lead like the king you are starting today, and I will see you on the other side of your reset.